everyone. Welcome to Sam's Summaries. This episode is a deep dive discussion into Sam Fury's summary of the book The Hero with 1,000 Faces by Joseph Campbell. It has been created with the help of AI. You can read the original summary at samfury.com.
All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving deep into the hero's journey.
Oh, I love this.
It's that epic adventure we see in movies, myths,
Yeah.
maybe even sometimes in our own lives.
Absolutely.
And we're going to unpack some serious wisdom from Joseph Campbell's book, The Hero with 1,000 Faces, which I have to say is one of those books I think everybody should read.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
It's dense,
yes,
but it's so good.
So good.
So today we're going to be looking at an excerpt.
Okay.
And what I love about Campbell's work is that it's not just about analyzing stories.
Yeah.
He's actually giving us a framework for understanding those challenges, and I think more importantly, the transformations we all go through in life.
Yeah.
I'm going to start by saying I'm so glad I don't have to wear a cape and carry a lightsaber for this one.
No, you can if you want.
Okay.
But yeah, it is interesting because what he does is he breaks it down into this very accessible framework that I think that we can look at and be like, okay, wait, I can see that happening in my own life.
Yeah.
And the part that I find really interesting is he talks about even those things that we might consider like little missteps in life, mistakes, failures, whatever.
Yeah.
Those can be the catalysts to an incredible process of self-discovery.
I'm really happy to hear that because I'd make a lot of little missteps.
Well, then you're well on your way then, clearly.
Okay, good.
But it's he calls it like the departure phase, where you kind of step out of that normal and you kind of heed the call to adventure.
So it's like maybe tripping over a metaphorical rock in the road
Yes.
is the start of something amazing.
Absolutely.
I trip over actual rocks all the time, so
Oh, there you go.
maybe that's good.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, he talks about like these calls to adventure can come in very unexpected ways.
Yeah.
It might be a sudden change,
Yeah.
an intuition that something needs to shift,
Yeah.
an actual stumble that forces you to look at things in a different way.
Yeah.
Maybe a loss, even these
Yeah.
kinds of things.
But sometimes I want to hit the snooze button when those come up.
Totally.
You know, like I want to stick with what's comfortable, what I know.
Yes.
And I think that's what he's getting at with this refusal of the call, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, that's something that's very it's kind of ingrained in us as humans, as animals, to resist change, to cling to what's familiar.
Yeah.
But Campbell, I think, really highlights this idea that if we constantly avoid that call to adventure, we can end up feeling really stuck or lost even.
Oh, I can relate to that so much, especially thinking back to a time where I almost didn't take this incredible job overseas.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been so much easier to just stay put,
Yeah.
in my comfort zone.
Yeah, sure.
But looking back, I am so glad I took that leap because it was scary.
Right.
But, you face that fear.
Exactly.
And amazing things can happen.
Well, and that speaks exactly to that, embracing the unknown, which is a very key part of that departure phase.
Yeah.
It's like you're crossing a threshold into a whole new chapter of your life.
I think that's such a great way to put it. But sometimes those first steps across that threshold can feel really shaky,
Oh, yeah.
It's like you need someone to hold your hand a little.
Exactly.
Is that what he's talking about with that supernatural aid?
I would say so.
Okay.
And it's interesting because, we're not talking about wizards and things like that.
Not Gandalf popping in.
No. It's more like thinking about those people that appear in our lives at just the right moment to kind of offer guidance or support.
Yeah.
Maybe it's mentors, friends. Maybe it's even like a book that you read that gives you that aha moment.
Yeah, that aha.
That aha moment, yeah.
It's like having a guide on a challenging hike.
Yes, exactly.
Who knows the terrain,
Yeah.
and can help you navigate those tricky spots.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've kind of felt the call.
Yeah.
We maybe hesitated.
Yeah.
But then with a little bit of help, maybe from a wizard.
Maybe not.
But we take that first step across that threshold.
Yeah.
What happens next? Is there a welcome party on the other side?
Not exactly. Campbell describes it as the belly of the whale.
Ooh.
So if
I've been there.
you've been in the belly of a whale.
I have, yeah.
So it's that idea that you kind of get I don't know, engulfed by the unknown. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that feeling of like stepping into something so new and different that it feels like you've been swallowed whole.
Okay, so maybe no party.
Not a party.
But it's more like I'm diving headfirst into an experience that completely strips away all my comforts and forces me to confront who I really am.
Yeah, and what's interesting there is that Campbell suggests it's that process that actually allows for that transformation to really begin.
Oh.
They're like a symbolic death and rebirth.
Yeah.
That kind of leads you into what he calls the initiation phase.
Okay, so after surviving the belly of the whale, things get really interesting.
Yeah, things get pretty trippy.
Okay.
It's kind of like you step into a surreal landscape.
Yeah.
Where the rules you thought you knew don't quite apply anymore.
Yeah.
And he talks about the hero facing a series of tests in this phase, like the road of trials.
Okay.
You know, each one of those pushing them to their limits and kind of revealing their hidden strengths.
I feel like this is where the training montage happens in a movie.
Yeah,
But in real life, it's probably a lot less choreographed fight scenes.
Yeah, probably a little less glamorous.
Yeah, and a lot more.
Yeah.
You know, gut-wrenching moments where you're like, what am I even doing here?
Totally, yeah. And what he talks about with each of these trials, even the ones that feel like setbacks, those are actually shaping you and revealing your true potential.
No pain, no gain, as they say.
No pain, no gain, exactly.
But, you know, we're not just enduring all these trials for kicks.
Right.
Hopefully there's some reward.
Yeah, so he brings up this kind of interesting concept called the meeting with the goddess.
Okay.
And before you go off picturing, you know, an actual goddess appearing before you.
Okay.
It's more like, think of it as that energy, that powerful presence that might show up, whether it's through a person or a place or even a profound experience where you feel very seen and loved and accepted.
So it's less about wearing a toga and offering grapes.
Yeah, probably not. No togas.
And more about like feeling that sense of connection.
Yeah, that deep sense of connection and love and wholeness. You know, it's like integrating those parts of yourself.
Yeah.
And he also brings up woman as the temptress.
Ooh, that sounds dangerous.
A little bit. But, you know, keeping in mind that it's not about like placing blame.
Yeah.
But it's more like recognizing those things that might tempt us.
Yeah.
To kind of veer off our path.
Yeah.
You know, like material possessions, maybe unhealthy relationships.
Yeah.
That allure of power, that can be a big one.
Yeah.
All of it.
It's about making those conscious choices. And for me, it's always been about remembering what really matters.
Yeah.
And not getting distracted.
Yeah.
Even when all the shiny things are popping up in front of me.
Right, exactly. And he throws in atonement with the father to make it even more complex.
Okay.
Where the hero often will confront those authority figures, like challenge their beliefs and ultimately reconcile with those more dominant forces.
That makes me think about those times, and I'm sure we've all had them, where
you have to stand up for what you believe in, even when it's uncomfortable. Yeah. Even when it means maybe, you know, going against what everybody else is saying. Absolutely. And those can be really tough.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think, you know, you come out of them with a stronger sense of self.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What's fascinating is Campbell's not saying this has to be an actual person.
Okay.
You know, like a father figure.
Yeah.
It could be a system.
Yeah.
It could be an ideology.
Okay.
It could even be like a belief that's holding you back.
Yeah.
Internally.
Yeah. So it's almost like, you know, facing those limitations. Yeah. Limitations. And really kind of defining, you know,
your own path.
For your own path.
Yeah.
And that takes courage.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
But through all of these trials and these encounters and these confrontations, the hero reaches a critical point, what Campbell calls apotheosis. Okay, now that sounds intense.
It can be.
Does it involve lightning bolts?
Maybe metaphorical ones, but it's more like that moment of transcendence.
Yeah.
Where you kind of shed those old identities and those limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
It's like reaching a mountain peak and seeing the world from a whole new perspective.
Yeah.
And it's at this point where the hero receives the ultimate boon.
Ooh, the boon.
The boon, yeah. But this isn't like a physical object or anything.
Okay.
It can be like a newfound sense of purpose,
Yeah.
a deeper understanding of yourself,
Yeah.
a profound connection to something greater,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
It's like unlocking
Yeah.
that potential that you always knew was there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so the heroes face their demons.
Yes.
They've earned their reward. They've
Right.
experienced this major shift.
Right.
Surely now they get to relax.
Right.
Put their feet up.
Yeah.
Maybe get a massage.
Not so fast.
Okay. The journey's not over yet. There's still the return, which can be just as challenging, if not more so, than everything that came before.
Seriously.
Seriously.
They've been through so much.
I know.
Why is the return so difficult?
Well, imagine spending all this time in a completely different realm.
Yeah.
Right? Where you've had these intense experiences.
Yeah.
And heightened awareness.
Yeah.
And then trying to come back and explain that to someone who hasn't been there.
Yeah.
It's like returning from like an amazing vacation and trying to adjust back to your regular routine.
Yeah, and suddenly those bills don't look so great,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Campbell describes it as like the refusal of the return.
Yeah.
It's that temptation to just kind of stay in that blissful state.
Yeah.
Rather than face those complexities of coming back to the real world.
Okay, but isn't that kind of selfish?
That's a good question. I mean, shouldn't the hero be sharing their wisdom, their experiences?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
And Campbell actually argues that that's the whole point.
Okay.
It's not just for your own personal transformation.
Yeah.
It's to bring back that boon, that knowledge, that wisdom, and use it to actually benefit the world.
So how do they do that?
Well, he uses the example of King Muchukunda, from Hindu mythology, who was granted this boon that allowed him to sleep undisturbed for eons.
Wow, that's a good boon.
Right.
Yeah.
But when he finally wakes up,
Yeah.
his return actually causes a ton of destruction.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. So even though he was given this like incredible gift, right, his refusal to actually reintegrate into the world actually ended up having negative consequences.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It makes you think, what are we doing, with our experiences? Are we hoarding them? Are we not sharing them?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's a powerful question.
Yeah.
And Campbell's saying that, by refusing to return, by not figuring out how to integrate our experiences and share them, we're kind of doing a disservice, not only to ourselves, but to others as well.
That's deep, man.
Deep, yeah.
Yeah, it's like saying that real transformation is not just about personal enlightenment.
Yeah.
It's about bridging that gap between the extraordinary and the ordinary, bringing those insights back to the real world and using them in a positive way.
Yeah.
That's amazing, but I imagine that reintegration process can feel really, really daunting.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how do you even begin to explain something so profound to someone who hasn't experienced it?
Well, and that's why Campbell emphasizes this idea of rescue from without.
Okay.
So even heroes need help.
Uh-huh.
They need support. They need guidance from others.
Okay.
To navigate this tricky part of the journey.
Yeah, it's like, if I go on a vision quest or something.
Yeah.
And I come back like blissed out.
Right.
But then I have to like pay my bills or whatever, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
I need some help here integrating.
You need some grounding.
Yeah, grounding. Exactly.
Yeah, you need some grounding.
So it's about having that community.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That supports you.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it alone.
No, I need help.
Absolutely. And with that support, the hero finally crosses what he calls the return threshold.
Okay.
Which, that point where they step back into their old world, but now they see it through new eyes.
Yeah.
They've integrated their experiences. They've had this transformation, and now they're coming back.
It's like returning home after a really long journey and realizing, maybe you've changed.
Yeah.
But the world hasn't caught up with you yet.
Exactly. And that can create tension.
Yeah.
You know, because you kind of feel like you're speaking a different language now. But it's here where the hero kind of has to figure out, okay, how do I hold on to this new wisdom, this new awareness, and still engage with the world?
Yeah, it's a balancing act for sure.
Oh, it is big time.
Yeah.
And Campbell describes this as master of the two worlds.
Okay.
Where you've got, kind of the mystical and the mundane and figuring out how to dance between the two.
Yeah. Okay, so the heroes, they've returned.
Yeah.
They've integrated their experiences.
Yes.
They're mastering this art of living in two worlds.
Yeah.
What's next?
Well, then we get to freedom to live.
Okay.
Which isn't just about your own personal liberation.
Okay.
But it's the recognition that your journey actually has ripple effects.
Okay. So it's not just about me and my own personal growth.
Yeah.
It's about understanding how my transformation is going to
impact
everyone else.
Yeah, it's like you're part of this larger web of interconnectedness, and your actions actually create ripples that go far beyond your immediate experience.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not just, slaying dragons or personal enlightenment.
Right.
It's actually taking that transformation and using it.
Absolutely.
To make a positive impact.
Yes, to inspire others.
Yeah.
To contribute to a more fulfilling world.
Yeah, and that leads us to, I think, a really fascinating part of Campbell's work.
Yes.
Where he kind of goes beyond just outlining these stages.
Yeah.
He calls this section the keys.
The keys. Yeah.
And he's looking at, the symbolism.
Yeah.
The meaning behind these
archetypal patterns.
Yeah. So we've seen the hero's journey unfold, but now we're gonna kind of go
a little deeper
and look at these hidden keys.
Yes.
That kind of unlock the meaning.
The true meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some of the things he's talking about?
So he talks about transformative rituals.
Okay.
Think about ceremonies and practices that kind of mark those big transitions in life. Yeah. Births, deaths, marriages, initiations.
Yeah, I love that, even if those rituals seem symbolic or even outdated to us, it always feels like they're kind of tapping into
something deeper.
Yeah, like a shared experience.
Yes, that transcends
time and culture.
Yeah, well, and that's exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah.
He's arguing that those rituals, even if we don't consciously get their meaning, they're actually connecting us to something universal.
Yeah.
That speaks to the depths of the human psyche.
Yeah, so it's like they're tapping into that collective wisdom that's been passed down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he uses the example of baptism.
Okay.
It's a cleansing, a rebirth.
Yeah.
And he argues that this isn't just a religious practice.
Yeah.
It's that symbolic death and resurrection.
Yeah.
Shedding the old self and emerging as new.
I think about all the times in my own life where I've felt like this profound shift.
Yeah.
Letting go of the past.
Yeah.
Stepping into a new way of being.
Yeah.
Maybe it's, starting a new job, ending a relationship.
Yeah.
Or even just, having a big realization that changes your perspective.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and he connects this idea to the cyclical nature of life.
Exactly.
And I think, it's like that image of the Ouroboros.
Yes.
The serpent eating its tail.
Yeah, the wheel of time.
Yeah, the wheel of time. Yeah. It's like this constant cycle of birth, death, and rebirth.
Yeah.
And it's happening all around us in nature.
Absolutely.
And
within us.
And within us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not just a linear path.
No, it's a spiral.
Yeah.
It's a cycle.
Yeah, and he calls the next part of his book the cosmogonic cycle.
Yeah, the cosmogonic cycle.
And he's kind of talking about how this hero's journey, this pattern of transformation, it's actually reflected in
universe,
the creation.
And destruction.
And destruction of the universe.
Of the universe, yeah.
Okay, things are about to get mind-blowing here.
Mind-blowing, buckle up.
Yeah.
So he...
I'm buckled.
You're buckled in.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So tell me about this cosmogonic cycle.
Yeah.
How does he connect the hero's journey to something so vast as the universe?
So he starts off by trying to bridge the gap between psychology and metaphysics.
Whoa. Big words.
Big words, I know.
Yeah.
ELI 5 for me here.
Okay.
Yeah. It's basically like he's saying that our inner world, right? Like the stories that we tell ourselves, the journeys that we take within our own minds are all connected to that bigger picture, the mysteries of the universe, the nature of reality itself.
So our inner world and the outer world are not separate.
They are not separate.
They're reflections of each other.
Reflections, mirrors of each other.
Yeah, and the hero's journey is like a map for navigating both.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And one of the things that he brings up there that I find really kind of fascinating is that he's saying this hero's journey, this process of transformation and growth, it's not just about individual enlightenment, right? It's actually about recognizing our place in this larger cosmic order.
Yeah. So it's not just about, me, me, me.
Yeah.
And my own personal growth.
No.
It's actually about
the bigger picture. He talks about the universal round.
the universal round. Okay.
Yeah, and he's saying, that these myths and stories, they reflect this cyclical understanding of existence.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's this pattern of creation, destruction, and renewal.
Oh, okay.
That's happening all the time on a cosmic scale.
Okay, so it's not just that the universe was created once. It's like this ongoing.
It's happening.
It's happening all the time.
All
constantly.
Yeah, that's why.
It is wild. And he goes into this a little bit more in the section called Out of the Void Space.
Okay.
And he's talking about this idea of creation emerging from nothingness, from formlessness.
Yeah. It makes me think of that moment in the Big Bang Theory where
everything just kind of explodes out of this single point.
Yeah, a singularity, this void of infinite potential.
Yeah.
And Campbell's suggesting that this process isn't just like a one-time event.
Okay.
It's continuous, It's this dance between emptiness and form.
Okay.
Between potential and actuality.
So it's not just that, like, the universe was created once.
Right.
It's that creation is happening.
All the time.
All the time, constantly.
Instantly, yeah.
Yeah, and then within that.
Yeah, so then he goes into, like, the element of life.
Okay.
Within space life.
Okay.
And he's talking about how life arises from this void, how it takes on form, how it evolves and adapts, and how it ultimately returns back to that void.
Okay.
Only to emerge again in these new ways.
It's like the cycle of seasons.
Yeah.
The birth, growth, decay, and death of plants and animals.
Yeah.
It's the flow of energy.
Constant flow of energy and transformation that's happening all the time.
And within that cycle, he also points out this element of the breaking down of unity into multiplicity.
Okay, break that down for me.
Okay, so
what does that mean?
What he's suggesting there is that many of these creation myths reflect this idea of like a primordial unity, like a oneness that then gets fractured or differentiated into the many forms that we see.
Okay.
So it's like
this, like a single source.
Yeah, this divine spark
that
then explodes into this kaleidoscope of
colors and forms and all these different ways.
A symphony of different expressions.
Yeah. So how does that connect back to the hero's journey?
Well, he's suggesting that the hero, in their own process of transformation, they kind of go through that breaking down and rebuild.
They have to confront those shadow selves, those fragmented aspects, and kind of bring them back together into this more unified being.
It's like that process of individuation, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Where you're becoming a unique individual, but also recognizing like how you're connected to everything else.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, and he actually, to kind of illustrate this, he dives into like all these different folk stories of creation.
Oh, cool.
Like
so he's not just looking at these stories as like these quaint tales from the past.
No.
He's actually seeing them as reflections of deeper truth
about the nature of existence, about those cycles of creation and destruction, and about how those patterns show up in the hero's journey
on both a personal and a cosmic
level.
Yeah.
And one of the things he talks about there that I think is particularly interesting is this idea of like separation.
Okay, separation. Tell me about how does that connect to this hero's journey?
Yeah, so in many of these creation myths, there's this point where like the creator, the source, becomes separated from its creation.
Okay.
And it's that separation that then kind of creates this sense of longing.
Okay.
A desire to return back to that state of unity. A yearning to bridge that gap between the divine and the mundane.
It's like that feeling of homesickness but on a cosmic scale.
Yeah, exactly. Like this longing for that primordial connect.
Yeah, that wholeness. That was lost.
In the act of creation.
Act of creation, yeah. And Campbell argues that it's that longing for reunion.
Okay.
Right? Like to bridge that gap between the creator and the creation.
That's what drives the hero's journey.
Oh, okay. So it's not just about like personal ambition.
No, it's a deeper
or desire.
It's a deeper yearning.
Tower or something.
Yeah, it's this longing to reconnect with the source.
Yeah.
You know, to bridge that gap between heaven and earth.
Yeah.
Between the divine and the human.
Yeah. Okay. So that leads us into I think one of the
that brings us the most
to one of the most enigmatic
and perhaps misunderstood sections of Campbell's book, The Virgin Birth.
The Virgin Birth.
And
but before
you know, anyone jumps to conclusions. We're not talking about a literal biological virgin birth.
No, it's all symbolic here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he starts off this section by exploring the archetype of Mother Universe.
Okay, Mother Universe.
Yeah, so it's this idea that the cosmos itself is like a womb.
Okay.
Right? Like it's the source of creation. It's this nurturing, generative force that gives birth to all things.
It's like that image of the earth as a living organism, right?
Yes. Yeah.
The Gaia principle.
Yeah.
Like a nurturing mother that provides
for all her children.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
And then within that.
Yeah. So within that, he talks about
Mother Universe.
The Matrix of Destiny.
The Matrix of Destiny.
Yeah. So it's this idea that
I've seen that movie.
You've seen that movie. Okay. Yeah. But in this context, he's talking about how our lives, our journeys aren't just random, occurrences, but they're actually woven into the fabric of the cosmos.
Okay.
They're guided by this larger pattern, this destiny.
So there's like a
sense of purpose.
There is a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a pattern that we're all a part of.
It makes me think of those ancient ideas of like fate, karma, but also like synchronicity, you know?
Absolutely, yeah.
Those meaningful coincidences that kind of
guide us
along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Campbell's saying that the virgin birth represents this emergence from that matrix.
Okay.
From those limitations of the past.
Okay.
From those old ways of thinking.
So it's like that moment.
It's a leap into a new level of awareness.
Of awakening.
Awareness.
Yeah, where you're like, you realize
your own power.
My own power, my own path.
Your own unique path.
And you
stepping into that destiny.
Yeah.
That is both like preordained and self-created.
Exactly.
It's exciting and terrifying at the same time.
It is.
Yeah. And he connects this.
He connects this to the hero's journey by suggesting that the hero also goes through this kind of virgin birth.
Okay.
You know, like they have to shed their old identities, their limiting beliefs, and emerge as this new being.
Yeah.
Reborn into.
So it's like that image of the butterfly coming out of the chrysalis, you know.
Yes, exactly.
Like
a complete metamorphosis.
Complete metamorphosis. Yes. And what's fascinating is that Campbell doesn't like shy away from those challenges.
No.
You know, the paradoxes that are inherent in this process. He talks about like the womb of redemption. This idea that like true transformation often involves this descent into darkness. Like you have to confront your shadow self. Wrestle with those forces that are trying to hold you back. Yeah, it's like that that dark night of the soul.
Yes, exactly.
You know, that period of intense struggle and introspection.
Yeah.
That has to happen. You know, before
the breakthrough. Yeah. And he uses all these examples of folk stories of virgin motherhood, right?
Yeah.
And they often involve these themes of sacrifice and suffering and overcoming these obstacles to bring about this new creation.
Yeah. So it's you know, it's not
all rainbows and butterflies.
Rainbows and butterflies, yeah. Real transformation.
It involves facing the darkness.
Involves facing that darkness.
Yeah.
The shadow.
Yeah, and through that process of facing those shadows, of confronting those difficult truths, we emerge transformed. we emerge reborn.
Okay, so we've gone through the departure.
The initiation.
Gone through the initiation.
The return.
The return.
And now this idea of the virgin birth.
Yeah, this virgin birth, yeah.
Yeah, where does Campbell take us next?
Yeah, what's next in this unfolding of...
Yeah, so then he kind of dives into the transformations of the hero.
Okay.
And how this archetype shows up in all these different forms and roles throughout history and across cultures.
Yeah. So it's not just like a static concept.
It's a living, breathing pattern that adapts and evolves.
Yeah.
Depending on the context, the challenges.
So what are some of the transformations that he's talking about?
So one of the most primal forms is what he calls the primordial hero and the human.
Okay.
And these are like those larger than life figures, like demigods or mythical beings who kind of embody the forces of nature,
Think Hercules.
Hercules,
Thor.
Yeah.
Those figures.
Larger than life heroes that have superhuman strength and
who kind of battle against these monsters.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that Campbell kind of traces this evolution of these primordial heroes to becoming more relatable, more human-like.
Oh, so it's like a process of humanizing?
Yes, humanizing the hero,
okay.
And making them more accessible to our own understanding.
Yeah, so they still possess these extraordinary abilities, but they also face...
the real challenges.
Real challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he explores this a little bit further in Childhood of the Human Hero.
Okay.
Where he kind of looks at those myths and stories where the hero's origins are shrouded in mystery, or they face these early challenges that kind of shape their destiny.
Think about Moses.
Yeah.
Placed in a basket, sent down the river.
Directly,
King Arthur. Being raised by a humble knight.
Right, unaware of his true lineage.
Yeah. So it's really highlighting that the hero's journey is not just about these external achievements.
It's about the internal transformation.
Yeah.
Overcoming those early obstacles.
Yeah.
And emerging as this more resilient, more compassionate, capable individual.
Yeah. So those challenges, those early challenges, they kind of... They become the crucible.
The crucible in which their heroic qualities are forged.
It makes you wonder about like your own childhood challenges and how they might have shaped you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then once the hero has kind of gone through those formative experiences, they kind of step into this role of the hero as warrior. Okay. The warrior.
Yeah, this is that classic image of the hero as protector, the defender of the weak, the fighter against injustice.
This is where we see the epic battles, the confrontations with monsters, villains, all that.
You saw that, and Campbell's saying that this warrior archetype, it's not just about physical strength.
Yeah, it's that inner strength.
It's that inner strength.
Yeah, the willingness to sacrifice.
Yes.
For the greater good.
The greater good, yes.
Yeah.
But the hero's journey is not just about fighting and conquering. It's about exploring those deeper aspects of the human experience.
Yeah.
And that's where we get the hero as lover.
Ooh, the lover. Okay.
Yeah, and
tell me about...
It's not just about romantic love.
Okay.
In traditional sense.
It's about this profound connection, a passionate devotion to something greater than yourself, whether it's a person, an ideal, a cause, or even a spiritual pursuit.
It's like that burning desire, that
passion
that drives the hero to achieve great things.
Yeah. And this hero as lover often faces these seemingly impossible tasks, right?
Yeah.
Challenges that require not just physical strength, but also emotional intelligence, compassion, and even a willingness to embrace vulnerability.
Think about those classic love stories, right?
Yeah.
Where the hero has to,
go on this quest. Yeah.
Face down a beast or defy the gods or whatever.
Yeah.
To win the heart of their beloved.
The heart of their beloved, exactly.
It highlights that transformative power of love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Its ability to
inspire us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes me think of that quote, the greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Yeah, it captures that essence of the hero as lover.
The hero as lover, yeah.
It's that connection. It's
that connection.
The courage to be vulnerable and
the willingness to sacrifice.
The willingness to sacrifice, yeah.
Yeah, for something greater.
Yeah, but as we know, power.
It can be a double-edged sword.
Yeah, and Campbell doesn't
shy
away from that.
The complexity.
He explores
that shadow side of the hero.
The shadow side.
And the hero as emperor and as tyrant.
The hero as emperor and as tyrant, yeah.
So he's looking at
those stories
where the hero maybe seduced by
power, power, fame, their own ego. They kind of become the thing they were fighting against.
They become the very thing they were fighting against.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like that classic tale of the hero who slays the dragon.
Yeah.
Right? And then becomes corrupted by the dragon's horde.
Yeah.
Right? And becomes a tyrant.
Yeah, and oppresses
the very people.
The people they
were trying to save.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a cautionary tale.
It is a cautionary tale.
For sure.
Yeah.
Reminding us that even the most noble intentions can be twisted.
Yeah.
That power
without compassion
is
destructive.
Yeah,
I'm getting big Lord of the Rings vibes here.
Lord of the Rings, yes.
Yeah.
And it's a reminder that the path of the hero is not easy.
No.
It's fraught with peril.
Yeah.
And even those who start out with the best intentions can fall. Yeah, and I think that's where, the ideas of humility and self-awareness come in.
Yeah.
And really kind of being vigilant against
the
that
seductive allure
of power.
Yeah.
So it's not just about achieving greatness, it's about
maintaining
it.
Yeah, and using it responsibly.
Yeah.
And for the benefit of others.
Yeah, it's a practice.
It is a practice.
It's an ongoing practice.
It is an ongoing practice, yeah.
Yeah.
And that brings us to kind of a crucial turning point.
Okay.
In the hero's journey, the transition from that hero as emperor and tyrant to the hero as world redeemer.
Okay, tell me about that transition. How do they move from
so Campbell suggests that this often involves a process of disillusionment, like a recognition of the limitations of worldly power.
Okay.
And a deeper understanding of the interconnectedness
of all things.
So it's like the hero kind of wakes up and realizes
they see the consequences.
The suffering maybe
that they've caused.
And they're like, oh wow, maybe real power isn't about domination, it's about service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this realization leads the hero on a new quest.
Okay.
Right? Like a quest for redemption.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
To heal the wounds that they've inflicted.
Yeah.
And to use their power to restore balance and harmony.
It's like, that
knight errant.
That's kind of had this dark night of the soul, but they've come back and they're like,
they're going to dedicate their lives to
righting wrongs,
protecting the innocent, restoring justice.
And sometimes this world redeemer takes on an even more spiritual dimension.
Okay.
Where they kind of evolve into the hero as saint.
The saint. Okay.
Yeah, and these are figures who renounce worldly power and possessions.
Yeah.
And they dedicate their lives to this spiritual path, seeking enlightenment.
Think Buddha, Jesus, those figures that
who renounce those worldly comforts and dedicate their lives to teaching and healing and illuminating this path to spiritual liberation.
So the hero's journey can take many forms.
Yeah,
but it's all about that.
But ultimately, it's about that transformation, facing the challenges, embracing those shadows, and emerging as this more whole, integrated being.
And as Campbell so eloquently points out in the section, departure of the hero. It doesn't.
This journey doesn't end with physical death.
Okay, yeah.
He's kind of exploring this idea that death isn't the end.
Yeah.
It's a transition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a shedding of the physical form.
Yeah.
To allow the heroes their spirit, their legacy, their impact on the world to live on.
It's like that it's like that saying.
Yeah,
The body may die, but the spirit lives on.
Exactly. And he's suggesting that the true measure of a hero isn't their lifespan, but the impact that they have on the world, the inspiration that they provide, and the legacy they leave behind.
So it's not about what they do.
No, it's about the ripple effects of their actions.
Yeah, it's about how they
inspire others
follow their
own heroes' journeys.
Make a difference.
Yeah, to make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That brings us to
powerful.
That brings us to the virgin birth, which might seem like a weird thing to bring up.
I was going to say, wait, hold on a second. We talked about this before, but
it actually ties in really well.
Yeah. So remember, he's not talking about a literal birth here.
Yeah, we're not talking about babies.
No, babies.
Okay.
It's symbolic.
Well,
it's a representation of something emerging.
Okay.
Seemingly out of nowhere, like a spark of creation.
Okay.
Arising from the void.
Oh,
and he uses that image of Mother Universe.
Yeah.
Right? Like the cosmos is a womb, a source of endless potential and possibility.
That's like that moment in the Big Bang.
Yes.
All right, so we've covered a ton of ground in this deep dive. We've explored the stages of the hero's journey.
Yeah.
The cyclical nature of the cosmos.
The cosmos, yeah.
And even those transformations of the hero that Campbell outlines. It's mind-blowing how these patterns
really are.
Show up everywhere.
Yeah.
From ancient myths to our own personal lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what I find so compelling about Campbell's work is that it's not just theoretical.
No. It's not just some
heady
intellectual
concept.
Line work. Yeah.
He's actually
it's really about
giving us a framework
how we can understand our own experiences and navigate the challenges we face in life.
Absolutely.
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
It's like he's giving us a
map.
A guidebook. For our own
hero's journeys.
Yeah.
But it's not just about individual growth. Right. Campbell also talks about how our personal transformations can actually ripple outwards.
Yeah. And impact the world around us.
Absolutely.
So remember that freedom to live.
Yeah.
You were talking about. It's recognizing that the hero's journey, it's not just about personal enlightenment.
Me and my own.
Yeah. It's about bringing back that boon,
growth,
the wisdom, the transformation, and actually sharing it.
Yeah, it's like that saying, be the change you want to see.
Yeah, be the change.
But instead of just talking about it.
Yeah.
He's
saying embody it.
Encouraging us to embody it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
this brings us to this really important point that he emphasizes throughout the whole book.
Yeah.
Is this power
what's that?
Of myth and storytelling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How it shapes our understanding.
We haven't really talked about stories.
We haven't.
And why does Campbell put so much...
why does he put so much emphasis or
importance on myths and storytelling?
So Campbell believed that myths weren't just like ancient tales or fictional narratives,
Yeah.
He believed that they're expressions of these deep psychological and spiritual truths that have resonated with humans.
For a long time.
For millennia,
It's like those stories are tapping into
something universal
that speaks to that human condition.
Yeah, it makes me think about like how certain stories like The Wizard of Oz or Star Wars just seem to like
capture our imagination. Capture our imaginations, and stay with us long after
we've experienced them.
We've seen them.
Yeah. And Campbell argued that these myths, these stories, they actually provide us with a framework for understanding the world, for making sense of our experiences, and for navigating
the complexities
of life.
So they're not just
entertainment.
No.
They're tools.
For understanding, for meaning making, for connecting with something larger than ourselves.
And I think in a world that is so fragmented and chaotic and uncertain these days,
especially now,
Campbell's message about this.
Yeah, I think his message is more relevant now than ever.
Yeah, I can see that. Why do you say that?
Well, I mean, we live in this time of like information overload, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're constantly bombarded with news and opinions and
conflicting narratives.
And
it can be hard.
It can be hard to sift through all that.
Find something meaningful.
And find, any sense of meaning or
purpose
or direction.
Yeah, it's like we're drowning in a sea of information, but we're still thirsty.
Yeah. And I think that's where those myths and stories come in,
Yeah.
They offer this way to connect with something deeper.
Yeah.
Something that transcends the daily grind.
Yeah.
Something that speaks to that human heart.
So they're not just escapes from reality.
They're portals.
To deeper truths.
Yeah.
To those universal themes.
Yeah.
That connect us all, you know?
Yeah, so it doesn't matter, your background or your beliefs or your circumstances.
That's something we're all experiencing.
And I think in a world that's becoming...
Especially now,
more polarized and divided.
More,
disconnected.
Yeah, I think these stories can help us.
Myths, these stories.
Bridge those divides.
They can help us bridge those divides.
Find common ground.
Yeah.
And remember our shared humanity.
It's like those stories remind us that we're all in this together.
We're all in this together.
Yeah. And that's why I think Campbell's work...
It's so important.
And timeless.
Yeah.
Timeless.
Yeah.
And
relevant.
Yeah. He's reminding us of that power.
The power of stories,
Of stories to shape our understanding of ourselves.
Yeah.
To
connect us.
Connect us to something
greater.
Greater than ourselves.
Yeah.
And to inspire us.
To inspire us to live more meaningful lives.
Meaningful and purposeful lives.
Yeah. And to embrace the hero's journey, not just in our own lives, but in the collective story of humanity.
Absolutely.
Yeah. As we navigate these challenges and opportunities of the
21st century.
21st century.
Yeah. And I think, maybe by recognizing these patterns, by really embracing the wisdom of these
ancient myths.
And sharing our own stories with courage and authenticity.
Yeah.
We can contribute to a
more
just compassionate, fulfilling
world
for ourselves and for generations to come.
That's a beautiful thought.
It is a beautiful thought.
It's like he's giving us this toolkit.
Yeah.
For not just understanding our own lives. Yeah. But shaping a better future.
But also shaping a better future.
For the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've given our listener a lot to think about today.
A lot to think about.
We've
journeyed.
We've journeyed through the hero's myth.
Yeah.
Explored the cosmos.
Even confronted the
mysteries of death and rebirth.
Yeah. It's been
an epic adventure. Yeah. And this is just the beginning. Yeah. The more we explore it, the more we apply it.
We apply it to our own lives.
Yeah. The more we're going to see.
We see its relevance. And
power.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. And I have a feeling our listeners are feeling pretty inspired to go out and discover their own hero's journey.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into The Hero with 1,000 Faces by Joseph Campbell.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody.
We hope this exploration has
sparked your curiosity.
It
ignited your imagination.
Yeah. And maybe even inspired you to see your own life through the lens of the hero's journey.
Thanks for tuning in to Sam's Summaries. If you found this episode useful, let us know with a like, follow, and share. Also, if you haven't already, be sure to visit samfury.com to get free access to all of Sam's original summaries, which you can download as PDFs, as well as other exclusive content. It's all completely free at samfury.com.